Hi, this is Don Samuels, your 5th Ward Council member, and I'm here with the weekly update, standing at the corner of Penn and Broadway on a brisk Friday afternoon in February, and we're looking down up northwest on West Broadway. This is going to be the path, or one of the proposed paths, of the LRT, light rail transit, which will come down on Broadway, make a right turn here at Penn, and go south on Penn, down to past Plymouth, down to Olson Memorial Parkway, and then on into the city. And the community has had many meetings to decide whether or not this should be the path, or whether or not the rail should go down Worth Park, down to Olson Memorial Parkway, and then into the city. And there's been a lot of anxiety about it because it is thought if it comes down Broadway, down Penn, it's going to require the removal of maybe 100 houses and the disruption of life. And then after construction, it's going to be require that anyone who wants to cross the street will have to walk a few blocks down or up before they have a pedestrian crossing to go talk to their neighbor just across the street. So there's a lot of concern about the options here. If it goes down Worth Park, the community is concerned that it will avoid the north side pretty much completely except for the Olson Run. And we won't have so much of the development that comes with fixed track rails in the street, which encourages development. And again, the north side will have been avoided. So many meetings have been held to try to resolve that dilemma, and the community came up with the idea of the rail going down Oliver instead. Well, actually that has been the path of least resistance rather than the chosen path. And most people are trying to vote for it not to come to their path, which is folks on the park are voting that it comes to Penn or Oliver. The folks on Penn are voting that it goes to the park or Oliver, and so on. And so while there's been a vote, still the anxiety exists in the community. So I want to talk to you about an option that I proposed to the council as a recommendation to the county, and which might solve our problem and create some assets that we would otherwise lose. My proposed idea for a solution to the problem of light rail coming down Broadway to Penn and going south is to create streetcars, bring streetcars back to West Broadway. Now, I'm at the corner of Emerson and Broadway, and over 50 years ago there were streetcars running down this street, and West Broadway was the busiest corridor in the city outside of downtown. People used to come here for shopping from the suburbs and go back home without ever going downtown to get whatever they wanted here. Now, we brought streetcars back to Broadway, fixed rails embedded in the streets, and this permanent transportation system brought back, we would encourage the same kind of economic development and real estate development that would come with LRT. But streetcars require much less width of the roadway, and so it would fit very well on Broadway, whereas LRT would not. So that's been my proposal, that in collaboration with LRT or light rail, wherever it goes, that West Broadway develops streetcar transit to return the corridor to its original glory. So the city has recommended to the county that light rail, the streetcars on West Broadway, be the preferred option for North Minneapolis. We have not recommended either D1 or D2. We've just simply said, whatever you do, we want streetcars on West Broadway. What that means is that if this were done, the Broadway streetcars would begin at Washington and Nicollet, come north on Washington, then west on West Broadway, and then northwest up to 81. If that would mean then that we would link up with the LRT there, and the LRT could take passengers all the way up 81 into the northwestern suburbs. That's a perfect solution, and if it does not result in the D1 selection, then that's great. We'd still be connected to the light rail, and the north side would have, instead of 2 or 4 stops, we would have 15 to 20 stops, with the streetcars stopping at every 2 blocks, because light rail stops every quarter mile. Now it would be stopping every 2 blocks on West Broadway. It would be a great investment. It would be a great amenity, and potentially the first streetcar line that will be built in the city will be built on Broadway. So I'm going to ask the community for your support on this idea. Let's bring streetcars to Broadway, connected to the light rail, and without any of the light rail problems, we can have the advantages of fixed rail asset on West Broadway. Thank you, and that's the news on the 5th Ward update.